Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Imam Malik Mujahid, and I'm honored to chair the Burma Task Force. As you know, most of the people know, and this map shows 214 villages at least, because villages are still being burned. This is a 15 days old report. So estimate about 50% of all Muslim villages have been burned to ashes in the first 15 days. What happened after those first 15 days, we are not quite aware of those. And somebody manipulating my screen. Let me go back to what I want to show you. And I request whoever among my staff is trying to do something, please, at this moment, I would suggest you not to do, because I'm losing my own screen here. So, so this is 214 villages. 50% of those have been burned to ground in last 15 days. This is a map of attacks before that. So in last, October, November 2016, normally they have major attacks in 4 years. That has been their sequence. But this time, they have gone and doing, okay, hold on a second. There seems to be some issue. Hold on a second. Sorry about this. I'm used to giving webinars through a different software, and this is the software I'm using first time. And hopefully now you'll be able to see it in a better way. So this is the earlier map. Let me go back quickly. So we just began our presentation. My apologies for somewhat of a confusion here. It seems staff was kind enough to give a test practice to me this afternoon, and I thought I learned that, but there seems to be more to it. So these are the villages, 24 one of those, and these are the map of the one which happened before that. So current situation, villages are still being torched and people are still forced to leave. I met some of those people as late as last Thursday who were still coming in. So I'll talk about the situation in Burma. Then I will talk situation in Bangladesh. And then we see what our current strategy should be and what we're doing and what you can do. So almost 500,000 Rohingyas are still within Burma. 120,000 were in detention camps after 2012 major attack. This is before this major attack. In 2012, they were attacked, and which displaced about 250,000 of people. 120 were taken to detention camp. They were marched there. And 100,000 were in the new camps. So they are thinking of developing camps, and estimate is they are already developing internally displaced people camps, just like the old one. We'll talk a little more about it. Then there are estimates of between 100,000 to 300,000 people being in the forest and in mountain and trying, some being on the sea. What Burma is doing right now, they are blocking the path to Bangladesh because people were coming from certain routes. Photographers and the world media found out, and they will be there, they will see people, they will interview them, and if they have video on their cell phone, they will take the video, and they were getting bad publicity. So they have blocked those paths. They have put landmines, so many people have injured, but established path, military is just standing there on the other side, they're not letting them come. Second, some of the people who I interviewed, they told me that they have surrounded other villages which people want to leave, and they're not allowing them to leave. Number of killed are unknown. Burma says 400 have been killed, but just in Tulatoli, we have authenticated with a lot of information. I will not share more detail because we're trying to get a major media print the story of genocide in Tulatoli, because Tulatoli story has full potential of having an impact like Srebrenica, and people paying attention, and those who are still on the sideline calling different name will be willing to call it a genocide. So they're trying to create new new IDP camps. And August 25th, 2017, when attack began, it was exactly a month ago. So in 30 days, more people have left Burma to Bangladesh than in 1 year they left from Syria to Europe, on which everybody knew, and still Trump has a fourth ban, Muslim ban in place, and all of that. So these are the images of the villages. So it's almost a 100-kilometer stretch in which almost all areas have been attacked. Some have been left out, and that's a detail. So this is Tulatoli village before being torched, and it's a thriving village. People are mostly farmers, but shopkeepers. It has about 3,000 Muslims and 300 or so Buddhists in this place. And these you can see in red, all the Muslim homes, 100% of them have been torched. And here you can see, if you can see my arrow, these are some of the houses of non-Rohingya people, Buddhist essentially, which has been left alone. This is a brother named Noor Muhammad. He's 16-year-old. I was talking to some other people about Tulatoli and interviewing some of the survivors. He was standing silent there. And this is just a space 2-3 feet, among the huts to find some space. Beautiful area. I mean, area is all beautiful, but hell within that area. So he was silent, but his face looked as though he wanted to say something. So I started talking to him, asked his name, and then I asked him, where is your hut? And he said, I have none. I just hang around the antenna there, television antenna close by, television tower, he said. So I asked, where are his parents? He remained silent, and I learned that both parents have been murdered by military. And he also told me he has 4 sisters and 3 brothers. All of them have been murdered. I asked him, do you have any of their photos? So on a little phone, he had photos of not parents and brothers and sisters, but his brother's 3 children were in photos. Of course, those 3 children, brother and his wife are also murdered. These stories are abound there. I asked him, what is school, what grade do you study? He said, no, you don't know that Muslims are not allowed to go to school. So I didn't go to school. I was just working in farm. This brother, I was talking to somebody else. He insisted that I come with him. So I went with him. And the little space which you see there, he has leveled that space to build house for himself. I mean, house meaning a hut. And he arrived just 2 days ago. And his elder son, his name is Muhammad Hussain, His eldest son, 48-year-old, was murdered. I say, why he was murdered? He said, well, he was not letting them burn the house, so they shot him. And I asked him, have you ever been to Bangladesh? He said, no. He said, have your father or grandfather? He gave me name of father and grandfather. Never. He didn't know the name of his great-grandfather, but he says he has never been. We've never been here, and we have no relatives here. By the way, Bangla language, I was told there, they cannot understand these people. They said about maybe 5% words may be common, which is among all Muslim people, 5-10% words are common. Otherwise, they can't understand. They need a translation themselves. But people who just live on the border, they can understand about 70-80% of what they're talking, meaning just across the river. It actually, from both sides of that river, it used to be one state called Arakan state. Both people were one people. But Burma race conquered that side, and Mughal conquered this side. And then British divided it in this particular way. So his name is Syed Hussain. His son's name is Hamid Hussain. And this little space is 8 by 8. And within the same group, right here, from the other side, we were talking. So at the end, I asked a question, how many of you have seen anybody killed? So many people raised hand, including this person. His name is Noman. He's just a 10-year-old. And he raised his hand reluctantly. So I asked him, whom did you see getting killed? So he said, my uncle. I said, where were you? He said, everybody was running away. So I was running away. So I was hiding in a paddy field, which is, rice grown a little bit in water. He said, that's where I was hiding and I saw that way. So this is another village. This is story, hopefully a major newspaper is going to publish. A complete massacre took place in this village as well. The danger of new Burmese IDP camp is big. This is a picture from 2012, and in you can see in that red box, military is forcing these people to march, and they took them marching to essentially these camps, which New York Times 2 years ago wrote 21st century concentration camp. Nobody can feed them except the United Nations. I wonder now that the United Nations is not allowed to enter, who is feeding these people? There were about 100 camps in which these 150,000 people were kept, and we were told that 25,000 were released, so 125,000 left. What is their status? Who is feeding them? Are some of their, huts which they build within the concentration camp are also destroyed or is still intact? Nobody knows that particular story. And there's not enough to eat there. And over there also, in those concentration camps, you build the hut like this. So it has some bamboo sheets and it has some plastic and stuff like that. So unfortunately, their discourse is very different. The world is saying different things, but in Myanmar, it's a very different world. They're united, they're lying, and they're defying, and they're living, their own fake news. For example, this guy, he's a graduate of Harvard University, and he draws cartoons now for most popular cartoonist. And he got admission in Harvard because of the recommendation of Suu Kyi. And this cartoon, Western media is depicted as interviewing some people who have left Myanmar for Bangladesh, and they're depicting them as crocodile, tears of crocodile and all that stuff. There are demonstrations. It's the first time the military, the Suu Kyi, and the people are one and the same. So by attacking and the fake news, and BBC have exposed the fake news. They showed a video that Muslims are burning their own houses. And those people didn't look like Muslims because women have sort of a plait placers, which has a particular type of lace and all that, not tied up on their head. And people were wondering, is it real? and Bangladesh BBC reporter found that woman with the same dress over there, and it turned out she was not a Muslim, she was not a Rohingya. Similarly, they were saying Rohingyas are burning their own houses. Well, unfortunately, in Rwanda genocide, they were saying that Rwandan people are killing themselves because they don't like to live with us. In genocide, there is some genocide literature, there is something called mirroring, that whatever they're doing, they say their victims are actually doing it. So this is a rally in support of Suu Kyi when she gave that speech in which she wanted to claim positivity, saying that 50% villages are still up there. Go and ask them why they didn't leave. Through that, we learn that Human Rights Watch claimed that 50% of the villages are burned and empty were correct. Now, I asked this question to Rohingya refugees, why some Rohingyas have not come? And they gave multiple answers. They say, my neighbor, their village, they have not attacked them. So why they come? Another response was that they're surrounded our neighbor's village. I just spoke to them, they're not letting them leave. Others say wherever Rohingyas constitute the majority, that's where they have attacked. Not only Rohingya Muslim, but there were Hindus who have been attacked, and they have also come here with Muslims. And they reported that not only they were killed, but Muslims were killed. And people killing those Hindus, they say, and that report has been given by multiple parties, that people dressed all black and their faces are covered and bodies are covered. They go around burning along with the Burmese military, which does most of the shooting. So they are being celebrating that speech which Suu Kyi gave in English language. My friend Zani, who's a Buddhist Burmese and one of the 2-3 most prominent people who are helping, he says that, Hitler's book is very popular and is translated and being read by a whole lot of people. Irony is that Israel is the one who are providing a whole lot of military equipment for a long period of time. And they are also advising on many strategies, reportedly. So life outside concentration camp, so those people, 500,000 people, I haven't reached Bangladesh yet, 500,000 people who are still there in Burma, what they are facing. So if they are not in those concentration camps, these things they face. Discrimination, apartheid essentially. Buddhist neighbors are all citizens. Rohingya Muslim, their citizenship was taken away in 1982. Buddhists can live in their homes. Rohingya Muslims, 150,000 time in concentration camp, unofficially inside, hanging around different places, 250,000, and 5 million forced to live as refugees. Now that 5 million has become 1.5 million refugees, according to the latest data by 8 different aid agencies. A Buddhist can have physicians. 700 Buddhists will have one physician. Rohingya Muslims have no physicians. Rape and sex slavery is not among Buddhists, but Rohingya Muslims reported UN has documented a systemic gang rape, taking young girls to mosque and in mosque raping them, and their cries are heard by the other neighbors. Buddhist can marry without a permit. Muslim must have a permit to marry. Those people who are still inside, right now probably nobody is thinking of marrying, but in normal situation. But if you marry without a license, 10 years in prison. Buddhist by law can have as many children as they like. Muslim are not allowed to have more than 2. Buddhists can go to a school. Muslim cannot enter a school. Buddhists can have jobs. Muslims cannot have jobs. Buddhists can travel freely. Muslims must have a permit to travel one location to the other. They can worship freely, and most mosques are demolished, and in Ramadan, is not allowed to pray. So situation in Bangladesh, it is important to remain that real problem are people who are inside Burma. Of course, those who have come to Bangladesh, they have their challenges as well. So, sorry, my numbers are wrong. 431,000 have recently arrived, not 4 million. I just put an extra zero there. So 1 million total. 90,000 came early this year until March, April, and 500,000 has been there for last 20 years or so. But Bangladesh has only allowed 30,000 people to be registered by the UNHCR, meaning rest of them have no identity as refugees. They're not entitled to any support as a refugee, and they cannot, claim to go to other countries as a refugee, as normally it is allowed to do. They are not allowed to leave the area of Cox's Bazar. They have issued a notification, and there are on border. There are people, they are monitored that nobody leaves that. May I request to those of you who are trying to use annotate feature, please don't use it. Is creating some lines unnecessarily. One good news I like to give you is those people who attended the webinar, which I gave about 10 days ago before leaving for Bangladesh and Kuala Lumpur and Malaysia. Alhamdulillah, the arrow goes to a location where there were about 80,000. There were 5,000 and 20,000, 80,000. Alhamdulillah, all of those people from that point has been rescued. Other point people are showing up. Okay, my goodness. Somebody else in our team probably has logged on with the same ID. So please, I may be logged off if you do that. Oh my goodness. So my my team members, could you please could you please quit if you have logged in through the account which you have booked me? So I'll try canceling, and I hope it will continue to work. So they have been rescued. Okay. When you approach from Cox's Bazar, this is from roadside, people like that are standing. I mean, they are very religious people. Many women are in full burqa. Almost all of them are head covers and hijab and the long gown. They're just standing just like that. And you will find them here. She has only one baby, but normally 2-3 children and one woman. And they will be every 10-20 yards, you see them. As you approach inside, almost a few feet away from each other, there are people standing both sides of the road. And there is one tiny road which goes through the whole area, and logistics are nightmare there. And I asked some of them why they are standing there, because it was after Maghrib time. So they told me they just came and they have no place to go, and to get bamboos and plastic sheets, which you see in the background, these bamboos, these plastic sheet beneath them is bamboos. They cannot afford to buy that, which are very cheap, $4 or $5 for the bamboos and a couple of dollars for the sheets. They can't afford to have that, so they're just standing there. Some of them are hanging around like that, so whatever sheet they have, and they couldn't afford the bamboo, but they found a little bamboo somewhere, and they're just sitting there. And most of the places, most photos are taken by me. This is by our photographer. I'd like to give him credit, Mr. Shafiur Rahman. His Bangladeshi heritage from Britain. He has been working with us for several months. So these hills are green hills. They were all jungles. So they have cut down the jungles, flattened some of these. So some tents are there, and above that, they are still making some tents, as you could see. So this is, everywhere there's a mud in there, and the water which you see, they always have this ditch. So water goes through below. So water goes into a little bit of valley, and in that valley, not valley, I mean little bit of a ditch, I'm calling the valley, and it has, all the sewer is there, and children are doing whatever they need to do, and that's where Literally, we have to walk when we were trying to go village to village. And there are proper distribution system, but only 7 locations for not 400,000 people, because there are people who came 20 years ago. They're still there, 500,000 of them. Then 100,000, 90,000 to be exact, people came from January, February, March this year. They are there. Now there's a third layer of refugees, which are 1 million. So in that area, you have about 1 million people. They cannot go. They are not allowed to go. They go outside. Bangladeshi police arrest them. I read that in the newspaper. So proper food distribution points are very few. So Bangladeshis with good heart, mashallah, are the main source of providing food. They truck and pick up. They come and they from the top of the pickup, they throw things which people pick up. Sometimes they're able to do that. As you can see, the hijabis is struggling here, but the men's hand are going up, and women and children. 80% of all refugees are women and children. So I will move on to developing a fresh strategy. But let me talk about a little bit of food and all that. Unfortunately, my notes are hidden in this particular software, so I cannot see my own notes. United Nations have multiple groups, and they have a coordinating group. We are in touch with them. Bangladesh, well, let me wait until I get to the strategy part. So developing a fresh strategy to end the genocide is what we have in mind. So our more focus all this time has been in the United States. We have a level of success that military aid, which was being expended, will not be expended. But our Twitter-in-chief talks about bombing somebody, or he tweets. Actually, I wrote him a letter requesting him to tweet about Suchi, that what you're doing is bad, too sad. Unfortunately, he didn't issue that tweet. So they, we have meetings with the State Department, 2 meetings when I participated when I was in Bangladesh. So other people went and met. Unfortunately, those things are off the record, but I don't see much happening. Good thing was that the United Nations, President Trump did say that Security Council should do something about it. Now, Security Council doesn't do anything unless America tells them to do. So we need to see what they're going to say. So in this situation in which our pressure on our own government is not much succeeding, we have some hope from the Senate to pass a resolution in support of Rohingya citizenship and put pressure on Suchi, but these resolutions are not binding, and there is no possibility, they say, of any sanctions. So that's where we have come up with another strategy, and that strategy is to push Canada, our neighbor, because we have Burma task force there as well, France and Germany. France and Germany are emerging as new world leaders because our Twitter-in-chief is keeping things confused, and Britain, because of the success of Britex, this used to be alliance of America and Britain, and they will do things together. Now that alliance is disarray and discredited, so new leaders are emerging. So French president is the only president leader of any country who has said it is a genocide which is going on. Bangladesh foreign minister has said that before him, but that's a big news. If now that yesterday German Chancellor Merkel is re-elected, I hope there will be some allies and they can work with us, and we're trying to approach multiple allies over there. And Trudeau wrote an extraordinary letter, which I read, actually somebody else read for me as we were driving towards a particular destination in Bangladesh. Very strong letter, not necessarily diplomatic letter. So we believe that if we push Canada and then Canada can engage France and Germany in conversation what need to be done. Something could be done. So we are shifting our strategy, not leaving United States. We'll still have some agenda. I'll share that with you. But for the first time, we'll be focusing on other countries. So 3 countries, and there are 3 things which we are asking them to do for us. Call it a genocide. It's very important. I will dwell on it a little more. Commit troops to create safe zones. So Canada, Germany, and France says United Nations create a safe zone, and Bangladeshi prime ministers have called for the safe zone. So far from General Assembly, nothing concrete has come out except the call for safe zone through peacekeepers. And of course, our call is create, I was chair of Bosnia Task Force USA also. We pushed for it, it was created, but those troops were not allowed to defend. So right in their presence, Serbs slaughtered 7,000 Bosnian Muslims in Srebrenica. And that was because of the wrong type of orders they have. So some people are opposing that idea, but we think creating a safe zone inside Burma with United Nations, guarding them with the orders to defend is the way to go. Because it's a genocide. Once you call it a genocide, unlike ethnic cleansing, let's talk about it a little later. Third demand we have airlift, food, shelter, and supplies. I mean, there are at the airport. There was not a single ship with supplies. There are no airlifting of any food or any shelter supplies to these people. I mentioned that to you, or maybe not. There were only 2 tents of UNHCR. Otherwise, everything was a hut with bamboo and plastic sheet. And ask Burma to open up for media, for human rights organization, for United Nations, for relief operation. Otherwise, face sanctions. They should be the clear threat. So these are the asks which we have, and we're looking for these 3 countries to lead. Let's talk a little bit, because I'm expecting all of you to not use any word but genocide. And pardon me for this American expression, although in our family this S word is banned. There is no textbook. They are saying, United Nations is saying it's a textbook case of ethnic cleansing. Wrong, wrong, wrong. There is not a single textbook of international law in which term ethnic cleansing is even mentioned. This term was invented by Milosevic in Bosnia to sort of give a benign look to what he was doing in terms of genocide and killing over there. And these people have picked it up. So it is good. 7 Nobel laureates have said it's a genocide, it's a textbook case of genocide. So they picked up our vocabulary, which I wrote, and we announced it in Oslo Nobel Peace Institute conference, and turned it to textbook case of ethnic cleansing. There's nothing called ethnic cleansing in legal book. Ethnic cleansing is not even considered a crime because it is not defined by anybody. So one friend of mine writing a paper, he wrote a very good academic paper, it's published paper, and he decided to call it ethnocide. And I protested, there's nothing called ethnocide. Guess what? He sent paper to that law journal. Law journal returned the paper asking him to change the word ethnocide to genocide, because that's the legal term. So French president said, Bangladesh foreign minister have said, and the People's Tribunal on Myanmar, which we were one of the organizers of it, last Friday declared unanimously, 7 world-class judges declared that it's a genocide. So there's academic conferences at Harvard, Oxford, Yale, all these have concluded. So scholarly speaking, Nobel Peace Prize winners is speaking, and now the People's Tribunal determining it's genocide. If any of you need papers to provide to your newspaper or your congressperson, you can get some of that from burmataskforce.org website. And if you cannot get it from there and difficulty finding, just send an email to info@burmamuslims.com so you have that information available to you. These are the 7 judges of International Tribunal. Last Friday, I was present in front of them. Actually, I took this photo. They were about to leave when they saw me. Oh, say Malik want to take photo, and they again stood up, smiling there. Top scholars, three of them are Muslims as well. And well, for those of people who know Sound Vision, one of the judges surprised me. She said, "Oh, I know Sound Vision. I have raised my children on Sound Vision material, and I keep receiving your information. Thank you for doing the good work." That's a plug-in for Sound Vision. Burma Task Force, is based in Sound Vision, and I'm president of Sound Vision as well. So one of the things we need to do to achieve the good policy, which we are seeing for our three asks, while we're working on pressuring those countries, it is important for us to keep the media alive, because unless this environment is there, these people, so how do we sustain them? So we now have about 4 or 5% team over there, and we're creating a team here. So on the phone, Rohingya Muslims who know English, interview them over there and translate things here. And then we provide to the media, and media say, we'd like to directly interview those people. We'll provide them phone numbers and they can interview them directly if they prefer. We're also thinking if marathon story writing. I mean, there are plenty of stories. Anybody I ask a question and they started telling me, and then other people gather and they started telling me. I can tell you, brothers, these people have suffered. They are suffering for 50, 60 years. But the sabr they have is amazing. They remain quiet, silent. There was not a single police officer I saw walking this, 15, 20 hours in camps and all that. Not a single police officer, but all peace. Nobody is raising their, children, of course, laughing with each other and playing full, but nobody is raising their voices. They're just calm, collected, and self-reliant people. I saw them digging the place, clearing the place, putting up little bamboo and and sheets on them. Some places they just arrived 10 days ago. Now they're building those bamboo-based masjid there for themselves. So there are fresh videos. So a lot of people have dead cell phones. So we're thinking of starting a service in which people can charge their cell phones. Cell phones is a lifeline and can do many things for these people, connect lost people and things like that. A good news was that one of the rape victims, which we have been working, supporting and all that, on Eid night, her father showed up, who was lost. So that was the good news. So so they will charge the videos and we'll request them to give their stories and record, put that video in a permanent place so that that evidence does not get lost. So we're trying to assist media in finding the stories from refugees there. We're trying to get people here, a team of writers, so they write op-eds, and there are many angles to write. And we're requesting that all of you who are present, if your media doesn't have a story, call them that I didn't see anything. A genocide is going on. Were you this silent when genocide happened in Rwanda also? Why you're not mentioning, why you don't have a story? Do you need some help? Would you like to interview some Rohingyas in America? Would you like to make a phone call and talk to some Rohingyas there? So we need to keep them connected. So third element of achieving this ask is public pressure, calling parties. So you have a list of things which we have our action alerts on when we issue them. I hope all of you have signed up. Otherwise, you can send email to info@burmamuslims.com. So receive that, print that out, distribute to people, call a calling party. Just have a pizza available, not wastage of any food, and everybody is making phone calls. 1 or 2 phone calls to evening and weekend, you can call to your elected representatives. In daytime, you need to call to the government and whatnot. So calling parties, elected representatives, put pressure through them, ask them to write a letter for you to Secretary of State or Foreign Minister in your country, have them adopt a resolution at different level, get interfaith people who you do eat hummus and biryani all the time with them, they issue a statement, and then organize demonstrations. I mean, for Bosnia, we were demonstrating for 3 years. For Kosovo, we have to do it almost a year before those things. We were able to make changes. So we will be issuing another call, a demonstration of the last call. We issued the name of, I think, 20, 30 places, but people keep telling us, oh, we also did a demonstration. So the call was substantial, although information was not that available. Somebody is scratching my screen there. So whoever is putting fingers and whatnot on your tablet, somehow it is being reflected for everyone to see. Thank you so much for withdrawing that. So U.S. strategy is still there. We're not abandoning that. Help airlift food. So $32 million U.S. has committed. They need to go to Bangladesh by airlift for food and shelter supplies. And then the problem is logistics there. Since whole many good Bangladeshis bringing food and things like that, on that tiny road, there's one artery who goes through the whole lengthy, not much wide, but very long place. And to reach out to all of that is very difficult because roads are all clogged. And that's the only place where new arrivals are hanging around, coming in and out. So it is extremely important to have helicopter fleet available, and U.S. has that capacity. Our fleet has been, thank God, saved life in tsunami in different places, Thailand and Indonesia. American helicopters, when earthquake took place in Pakistan, they sent from Afghanistan, and they were called angels because the way they were able to bring supplies, because otherwise it was impossible. Same thing we tried to do in Haiti when earthquake devastated that place. So this is the second ask. Of course, ban military cooperation, support Senate Resolution 250, and do not oppose calling it a genocide if you cannot call genocide yourself. Support Bangladesh call for safe zone for Rohingyas over there. So I will take a few minutes before I conclude on rape issue. For those of you who came last time, once again, our apologies. We had the old system which didn't allow several hundred people registered, and we didn't realize our capacity of webinar on the earlier system was limited. So this time we increased the capacity, and alhamdulillah, more people are able to join. So some of these things I mentioned there, rape is being used as an instrument of genocide. So they take women, this is the map of rape, wherever rape took place. They take young girls in the masjid or sometime in house, and overnight 20, 30 soldiers are brought there, and they keep raping them. United Nations survey says 52% of all Rohingya women they've interviewed in March 2017 were raped, recent refugees. And a Rohingya lawyer who we sponsored to come and testify in Kuala Lumpur, she interviewed a lot of women, and she says all women she interviewed were subject of sexual violence. So these are the sisters who decided they don't want to hide their face, tell their story. These are some of them, and this sister, I met her this time when I visited her. Now this is a home. You know, I mentioned several layers of home. So this home of refugees came 20 years ago, and this is all mud they have put up, which freshly houses don't have, and bamboo sheets and plastic at the top. This, what you see, is another innovation. This is not cement. There is a rock there on that hill. If it's a solid rock, a woman sits there. I saw one woman, and they sort of rub it off, and this material come out like cement type, and then they put it like a, with water and just put it so it becomes a little more lasting. So I was invited in this house. This house is a very special house for us. This house is of Sister Shafiqa and Brother Nuruddin. They work with us. They're part of our team. And Sister Shafiqa discovered these young girls who have been raped, and she brought them to their home. And this is where, the sewing machine. It had been supplied by great sister, Sister Jamila, and Burma Task Force also contributed some sewing machine. And this girl who is standing there, she's just 13-year-old, and she was raped and lost parents. And Sister Shafiqa has taken under her wing because what they were doing is some criminal element. They asked this woman to come and work in some home as housemaid of somebody. And then those women disappear. One of those women, our team member, found them in India. And we were trying to figure out, and we had a whole strategy about India there in place. So they are able to, mashallah, on their livelihood, stand on their foot now. This is another sister, she's 17-year-old. And she went through the same thing. So they're all in Sister Shafiqa's and Brother Nuruddin's home at this moment. So what Burma Task Force is doing, and then I will talk about what you can do and what your masjid can do. Current efforts, 3 country strategies and 3 points of ask, as I mentioned to you. We're working on documenting 100% of all survivors of tuna tolling. Reason we're focusing on it is because, you know, a lot of people getting killed, a lot of people becoming refugees. You know, it's like Stalin says, so 2 million getting killed is just a statistics, but never getting killed is a tragedy. You feel that. So when Srebrenica happened, because of the focus on it, the world started changing their mind, started calling genocide. And then we were, thanks to our efforts and a lot of people's prayer, we were able to influence our government to interfere and stop that. So Tunatali and other villages where complete massacres have taken place, we're documenting. So right now our team is working on surveying every survivor, recording their video, and also taking detail of who lost how many people and what other losses were there. Then nobody knows how many people have been killed in this last 1 month or so. Burmese government says only 400, and we only in one village verified 750. So how do you determine? So one of our staff today has started contacting people who did survey to determine in Iraq and Afghanistan how many people died. They used a technique of sample survey based on probability theory in the statistics on which all surveys are done. There is a margin of error there, but that is acceptable type of results. And this morning we had conversation in Bangladesh to start looking for companies who do these things and engage them over there. This will again create a news, but it will also provide authentication to the argument which we have been making. Then a bigger claim on which we are trying to engage other organizations, which are bigger organization, human rights organization, is that while all these people are coming, none of them have IDs. Most of them have lost everything they had. So document them, their losses. So those we could file lawsuits using Burmese laws or other countries' laws that these people who are coming, they're responsible for these losses. And there are good opportunity, and a lawyer's team is working to assist us in this particular area. But this is a bigger project. That's not a top priority, but people will lose those things pretty fast if we don't do. And we'll continue to push for Senate Resolution 250, and we have outreach work at the United Nations at this moment. Bangladesh outreach is critical because Bangladesh attitude was different, and now its Bangladesh attitude is changing. So we appreciate Bangladesh attitude, and we have welcomed them. And our delegation, I wanted to meet, but they informed me as I was about to embark on the plane. So we developed a quick delegation, which has met Bangladeshi ambassador. They were very nice. They want all the money to come through the Bangladeshi government. We requested them to formally legally open doors for Muslim relief organizations. We told them that Muslim in America for Syria has contributed $1.3 billion, and there's a lot of work they could do, and they're well experienced in disaster areas. He flatly refused to do that. We picked up that issue with Bangladesh ambassador in Malaysia also in meeting, and then meeting with the chairman and the delegation of Bangladesh Human Rights Commission. We picked up that issue with the State Department in charge of Bangladesh desk. We are in communication on that actually just last Friday. And we have engaged UN coordinating group in Bangladesh. So they keep us informed of any policy changes on the part of Bangladeshi government. We are assisting rape victims in their rehabilitation program, and people who are helping them also being helped in that particular area. We are facilitating for 120 doctors, Brother Dr. Zahir Salul, who is a Syrian, and another American non-Muslim physician who helped in Syria, and they are aware of these things. They are ready to go, except they have difficulties. So we are facilitating their trip in that area. What can you do? And that's probably the second last slide. Sorry, normally I do 30-minute webinar, but this time I decided to do a little longer one. Short term, send email to info@burmamuslim.org if you don't receive our action alert. We really need you to take that action alert and run with it. As it's happening lately, a whole lot of groups have suddenly become aware of what's happening in Burma, and everybody is doing their own thing, which is okay. But we like them to, take our action items and put it with their names. We don't mind people taking credit of things, but it is important to receive action alerts because they come based on our strategy and conversation, sometimes based on development which we cannot disclose in Burma, sometimes diplomats inform of something. For example, we had some major security challenges with one of the staff of Burma Task Force. So we were informed by well-meaning other people, and we were able to take measures for that. And so once you receive that, print it out. It's normally PDF or email. If you need some more help, call our office, distribute in your community, put on your newspapers and whatnot in the community newsletters, the website. Push for Senate action. Resolution 250, take a delegation. You need a memo, we can provide a memo. You know how to get appointment from them, we can facilitate that. Donate to save lives. Burma Task Force work is extremely critical. And this work is a united effort. It's not an isolated effort. All major Muslim organizations are part of this effort. And, people tell people when you find it difficult, people to understand, if some house is being burned, are you going to try to take out the fire, call fire department and put water yourself? Or you're going to say, oh, you're inside, here's some food for you. So priority is saving lives. If somebody, is trying to punch you and somebody says, oh, take this food. Well, you will get punched because of that distraction. So work of Burma Task Force, saving lives, opening door for media, human rights, and relief organizations, and getting people, rape victim rehabilitated, facilitating recording of the claims on the of the losses which Rohingya people have suffered. All this work required your tremendous support. For 2 weeks, we're trying to raise $500,000. It's peanuts for most of the organizations. We have difficulty when we just cross, I think, 200,000. So we do need your help in that area. If you're going to be able to sustain this effort and get it accepted as a genocide and get aid to those people on a bigger level along with, so it will require a lot of effort. In the long term, Muslims need to realize that foreign policy impact Muslims don't have in America much. And that will happen when we are domestically empowered, if we are participating, developing coalition, electoral alliances, coalition building, and devoting resources towards human services. And this is what Jewish community did when they realized that Jewish refugees running away from Nazi Germany were not being allowed here. They invested in communication and media. They invested in coalition building. They invested in alliances and coalitions and whatnot. And you can take this message, distribute action alerts in your masjid, see if your masjid can donate 5,000, 10,000 to Burma Task Force. Many masjids do that already. If your masjid doesn't do, please have them do that. This image of what you see right now on the screen is not a Rohingya town, but it's a town of Burmese Muslims, of other types of Muslim. There are 3 million other types of Muslims in Burma. And this is a town where Virasu was able to attack. And I met a Muslim named Ismail in this trip. He's a refugee. And Virasu was his friend, the hate monger. And he's the one who told him, this is time for you to leave this country. Thank you so much for being so patient for such a large number of people and a lengthy, long conversation. So those of you who want to go, you can go. And what I'm going to do is I will try to, let me see, how do I control what people can, there is a way, not only it shows up here. So I'm trying to see if I can have the bar come up so I can recognize who is raising hand for a question, so I can unmute those people who are okay. Sorry about this confusion. I will be able to handle it in a minute. So I'm going to quit that. Okay, so I see that if you raise hand, I will see your hand, although there are hundreds of people there. And if I see a hand that you are willing to ask, and I'll unmute yourself, you can then ask, you can mention your name and city and ask a question. I'm going through very fast to see if any hand up, but there are hundreds of those. Okay, some questions. Okay, one question came. Looks like Human Rights Watch is also doing a good job. Is Burma Task Force coordinating or working with them? Yes, absolutely. They are partners, and we remain directly in touch with them. We have some difference of opinion. Human Rights Watch is not calling it a genocide, although they have provided a lot of good work, especially their executive director always has a very nice tweet. And each time I respond to him, I tell him, please call it genocide. They did the same thing during the days of Bosnia. But when they started calling it a genocide, then suddenly I saw a whole lot of people were ready to, enter and get into, it's a genocide, let's stop it, and things of this nature. So Amnesty and Human Rights Watch took 3 years before they accepted Bosnia as facing a genocide. So if you have contact with them, just like we are putting some sweet pressure, despite being allies, you should do the same. One question is, are there any limitation to communicating on Facebook? I've heard some censorship. Yes. Facebook, there are 17, 18 cases in which somebody talking pro-Rohingya without saying anything extraordinary, which could be based on known rule, could be wrong, they're being knocked off. It seems like they have some Burmese people who have been hired, and they are extremists, and they are doing that. And we and few other people, so some people are saying they did not have problem, other people have problem. We have documented that. The checks which you need to write, you can write for Burma Task Force. You can write on the memo or write on that main organization. It is based in Sound Vision, but Justice for All we created when we were working on Bosnia Task Force and Kosovo Task Force. I'm looking at the questions which are there. One question is, who funds Burma Task Force? That's an important question, because recently a Russian media, Sputnik, have put out that Burma Task Force coalition members are funded by George Soros. So I don't know who George Soros is funding. I doubt it very much. Burma Task Force is not funded by any foundation or any country. It is donations. It is started by Chicago Masjid donating some money, and then other masjid in New York and Los Angeles donated. Now most of our money comes from individual. We don't have time to do fundraisers, but people just send checks when we appeal to them for this. I'm just still looking, and I'm also looking at the hand. If there's any hand, I will recognize that, but I'm going too fast. Forgive me if I miss, because there are, okay, I see now. Okay, so I have unmuted Brother Asad Rahman. Go ahead and ask your question. Mention where you are. Okay, so that brother is not. Okay, so I'm gonna unmute somebody named Asna, and please mention your name and location and ask your question.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for doing this presentation. I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist from Houston, Texas, and I have a team who is interested in coming to help in Bangladesh, and I was wondering if you could give us some advice on how to do that. I work with a major university.
Excellent, excellent. I'm looking for people like that, and we need your help. Please send me an email at malik@soundvision.com.
Okay.
And by the way, are you Bangladeshi?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. I noticed the way you mentioned Bangladesh, so I got you right there, and I'm very happy because it will talk more offline. Just send me your email and information what you have, and we'll work from there. It is extremely needed. We had a group of other sisters from other places, but they did not have experience in many of the things. So I'm going to now recognize Asad Rahman. Please go ahead and mention where you're from. And
Mujahid bhai, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I am from Atlanta. My question is there any effort to take this case to International Criminal Court in Hague?
There has been efforts which has been made in that regard. The International Criminal Court, only a government can take. So some government need to take them. Individuals cannot take, number one. Number two, Burma need to be signatory of International Criminal Court, which they are not. So the only way that could be tried over there is if the Security Council passed a resolution to take them there. So that is the limitation. I'm gonna unmute Christopher Pack. Or Park.
Hi.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you for speaking. I'm in Washington, D.C. right now, and I was wondering, Senator McCain amended the NDAA to end cooperation between U.S. and Burma military, and it's likely to pass. What else can be done by the U.S. Senate?
I think that is likely to pass, and that's a very good move John McCain has made, very humane. I think the second step is that they have vote. They're going to vote that don't expend the military. What we need to say is that we need to drop military aid because they are claim. So resolution 250, Senate resolution, which also McCain and Durban have jointly sponsored, that need to be pushed at this moment. But if you are in Washington, D.C., Christopher, it will be very helpful if we can get some momentum going on airlift. Only U.S. can provide a spare helicopter. I think I'm quite worried about the disaster over there. Food supply, weak people who cannot get their food are in a very difficult situation. So I think all three demands which we have, you need to keep in mind if you are able to get people to push for that. I'm going to unmute Mansoor Ahmed in a second. Please go ahead and ask your question and mention where you are.
Assalamu alaikum, Mansoor Ahmed, Dr. Mansoor Ahmed from Cleveland. Can you give a little summary synopsis of General Assembly meeting, and did any significant thing happen in the Security Council, because the meetings is still going on? So please give us some.
Yes, I mean, lengthy speeches are going on, but there is a conversation on this side. And I did not see our staff, Adam, who is in the United Nations. I will give it to him as soon as I see him. At this moment, nothing significant has come out which is mentionable other than speeches and comments. So I will recognize now Maududur Rahman. Please mention where you're from. I unmuted you.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Maududur Rahman from Boston. And my question is to Brother Imam Malik. Assalamu alaikum. I know we met before, and I send you, I think, an email, and also I think I talked to Brother Abdullah, that we are running a camp in Bandarban, sorry, and I know you had been to Cox's Bazar, but have you any information on situation in Bandarban and Nakansorry, which is the remote place? I run a camp of 10,000.
Right.
And what I'm saying that if you need any contact from there, my people of my camp can, help assist you on that contract there.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Maududur Rahman. Truly appreciate your message. The brother mentioned another district of Bangladesh. There are not large number of refugees, but there are some refugees over there. And this is Bangladeshi American group who is, they mentioned they're working. They wanted me to go, but by the time I came to know, there was not, our focus and priority was to get as much information of locally, because that will make a huge difference there. So I can take a couple of more. Let me see people who are typing what they're saying. Like ask a question. Okay, Brother Obed says you want to ask a question, but if you raise a hand, I will know where it is, because otherwise it's difficult for me to hundreds of people. So I cannot figure out where. If you write a question, just write it down, because I don't see your hand. And I'm very new to it, this new software, so I can't see where you are on the horizon to unmute you. So if you write a question, I can respond to that. Okay, somebody is saying we need to make an archive genocide web portal to save all killing photos, videos, document, and collecting. Yes, I'm in conversation with major international group who has helped a great deal and finally were expelled from Burma. We are in communication with them for the documentation project. It will require a whole lot, but we'll do that. Good thing which we need to learn from the Jewish community is they're still filing claims on people who have taken artwork from their family or robbed their family from something because they had documentation they developed. I think, inshallah, if all of you work with us, we're together, inshallah, we'll be able to document each crime and file a claim and remain on it so culprits don't get away and become a lesson for future. people like that. So I appreciate that question. Let me see if there is another question. There was a question about online petition. We're going to start an online petition on calling it a genocide in Canada first, and we'll have one for Germany, focused on Merkel, and one appreciation and taking a lead. Okay, so someone in my family who is online, who has been very helpful, is saying that on the desktop program, the option to raise hand is above the group chat under the participant list. That's where you can raise hand. Question from Dr. Sheikh Ubaid, who has been very active participant in all task forces I have been leading and working on, involving interfaith and college campuses activists and asking them to asking their children, those who are participating here, to use MSAs. Good suggestions there. Okay, if doctors in the USA want to help, does it make more sense for them to go to Bangladesh, Burma border and volunteer services, or just send equivalent amount to aid organization like this? Well, brother, at this moment, according to 3 sources, United Nations Coordinating Group, Bangladesh ambassador in the United States, and another party, they are not allowing doctors to formally legally go. Now, anybody can go and do anything they want, especially if they're Bangladeshis, they can get away with that. Most of the people who are going from here to help actually going on tourist visa and not quite appropriate, but that's how they're going there. So at this moment, I think provide us if you have certain specialty and you want to go, what time frame, and we will see as soon as we learn that they are welcoming. We're trying to partner some Bangladeshi organizations who are already on the ground, that if we can tell them that, okay, we have this offer for you, and they can go with them. So this is one strategy we are adopting. Until then, by all means, please send funds. This is extremely needed. There are journalists who are dying to help. For example, one journalist from Canada, Burma Task Force sponsor her. She has created in just 5 days 70, 80 stories in India. And why did we do that? Because India wants to expel 40,000 Rohingyas who are there. And those Rohingyas are saying, just kill us here instead of sending there. To create that environment, just one journalist was able to do so much. And there are many, many more who want us to, sort of sponsor them and do that. Okay, and people are asking for recommendations of who an incredible organization they can donate money to for relief work. Doctors Without Borders are the major group which is helping there. The Bangladeshi group Brock is helping. A Bangladeshi group Mukti is helping in this area. We cannot make any recommendation, but organizations which are on the ground legally with their name. There are a whole lot of people going from here and there and as a tourist and have some money, buy things, distribute. We just cannot. So we have not done 100% research of it. So for anybody, for us to recommend. One question is to talk about the implication of People's Tribunal declaring there's a genocide. You see, genocide is something which governments need to declare, as French president have done. In the absence of that, so when Vietnam War happening and millions of people being devastated or dying and all that, and years of war was going on, so there was a world philosopher, British, Bertrand Russell. He created a People's Tribunal, and people started calling it Russell's Tribunal. And that held hearing, and what it did was is consolidated opinion, because they are not just giving opinion. There are scholars of genocide, scholars of international law, And they, based on the evidence presented to them, they are looking at the book and saying that. So this is first thing, authenticating public opinion. And whenever this thing has been done, it has a major impact on public opinion because the people's pressure, which will make things happen. One question is being asked, did the Bangladesh government explain why they don't want Muslim charities in their country? Unfortunately, they did not, explain that. They were saying they want all money to go to the government, and government need to organize. Now, at one level, I understand that. Bangladeshi government attitude has been very negative towards Rohingyas, actually saying the same thing which Myanmar was saying. This time attitude has changed, and we welcome them and we appreciate that. I have written a personally thanking on behalf of Burma Task Force to their Prime Minister for her open heart, saying that if we can feed 160 million people, we can feed 1 million more. And she was in person, seems to be shaken seeing those people. So we see openness, and we like to appreciate that. I also understand why they want to do that. I don't know all the motives and politics behind that, because it's a very crowded, very logistically difficult area. If all the people are going to show up doing their things, they will not be able to handle it. If I were responsible over there, I would say at this moment, governments need to help. They need to send those big, huge ship after ship. There need to be a chain of airlifting, food supplies, as well as the medicine, as well as shelter. Shelter is a major issue. And as that happens, let all the people get registered and make the border guards in charge of organizing these camps and lining up people and things like that. Otherwise, people are going to get killed. People will die out of hunger. It is quite possible, because at this moment, there doesn't seem to be much organization. So if 1,000 charities show up, it will be chaos. So maybe they are thinking that way, but there is a track record of, charities in all disaster areas have been helpful. So at this moment, they are letting Bangladeshi charities work, and some Muslim organizations probably are operating through them, which is not bad at all. So I will unmute A. Syed at this moment. Please mention your name and speak.
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, my name is Azam Syed, and I'm in Atlanta. Last Saturday, we had a demonstration in downtown Atlanta in front of CNN headquarters. But unfortunately, neither CNN nor any of the local media covered this. So, can you give us some advice as to how we can get the local as well as international media cover more of this?
Here's what I will say. If this has happened to you, take a delegation to different media, read how they are covering this genocide. Are they using the term genocide or not? And take an organizational, take 4 or 5 masjid presidents and imams to meet with them and request them that there is a genocide going on, and here's the evidence, and we can provide you that memo, and develop relationship with them. Also, if you are going to organize, any of you are going to organize a rally and whatnot, please do let us know. We have a complete database of all media in every city in America. We will take your information, improve that, and we have Professor Dr. Siddiqui, who used to teach communication and public relations. So we can modify that and issue to your city. But then you need to call them and see who covers Muslim community normally. Let them come and cover that. But of course, media, there are many, many considerations they have. So they may or may not cover. So I will give opportunity to Farooq Chandiwala. Sorry, I'm going to unmute you. Okay, go ahead, Brother Farooq.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum. Excellent job. I want to ask you, I am a part of an interfaith group here that is working with refugees. And I've been asked to make a document, an advocacy document, which I'm working on. and I've taken extensive notes. But is there any way to get hold of your full slide presentation? Maybe I can use it. We use quite a bit of this in this document, so people will see what a great job your organization and you are doing personally. Otherwise I have to sit down and type
Oh,
them.
I'm not doing it personally, brother. It's a all community and a whole lot of team and volunteers and staff is involved. Alhamdulillah, we have been able to move forward. I think it is being recorded, although I don't know how. My screen says recording. So I will talk to our team members who have organized how to take it forward. Do you have any other comment?
Yeah, but I'd like, my document is supposed to be ready in a few days. So if you can put it on your website or send it to us by email, then I can use that information, most of it, if not all, because it's very long. I can take highlights. So that would help a lot.
Okay, inshallah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so send in to Hani, HANI, at burmamuslims.org. Dr. Qutub Khan, please go ahead. Well, my effort to unmute somehow is not working. Let me just try. Okay, go ahead, please, Dr. Muhammad Khan. Okay, Dr. Muhammad Qutub Khan. Okay, we'll come back to you. Well, seems to be some problem. In the meantime, I will recognize Muhammad Salim. Go ahead, please.
Assalamu alaikum, Mujahid.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
From Flint, Michigan. My first question you answered that, if we want to go as a physician there to help, you answered that question. But what exactly your own plans to take this money and then you're spending on particular projects, something you have?
Burma Task Force sees what is the most important thing we can do to save lives. That's how we spend the money. We have our pet project. We have been working with rape victims and will continue to work in telling their story, rehabilitating them, putting them to work. Because in certain cultures and some parents don't recognize, rape is not a choice of a girl. She has been forced. So that area of documenting their claims, that what they lost and how they can go forward, these are the areas we have been working. We are not a relief organization. That's not, but opening door for relief organization, we definitely consider that part of our responsibility, and we have been working on it. Brother Muhammad Zafar, go ahead, please.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I have been in contact with you in your organization for since your first webinar, and alhamdulillah, we organized a big event in Rochester, New York this coming Sunday. One of the challenges I feel and I think the community is lacking is the communication. I know your alerts are going through, but there's no formal form of an action item weekly basis. And I think if you have a team of people that are going to be committed to your team, you need to give them a formal weekly charter in terms of action items that they can. I happen to be the president of the mosque, and I am still a director of the mosque, and I have the full mosque mobilized in this event. I think we can mobilize a lot more mosque and activities around it in each city if we have a better coordinating team who sit down and chat out these things. I see that lack, and if I can be helpful, inshallah, I'll do that.
Okay, so my email, brother, is malik@soundvision.com, MALIK @soundvision.com. Send me your ideas and I'll talk to you. Next couple of days, I'll be traveling to Canada and California. And when I travel, I have here and there some time. I'm going to give you a call, inshallah. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, thank you. Sister Nilofer Adil.
Assalamu alaikum, Mujahid Sahib. I'm speaking from Boston. I understand that thousands of Rohingyas are stranded in Burma because they don't have enough ferry money to come across to be ferried to Bangladesh. And I understand Burma Task Force is helping them out. So I just wanted to know whether you've been able to bring people across, and if so, how many were you able to bring across to Bangladesh? Thank you.
That has been, we have spent a tremendous amount of time on that. I personally didn't do anything for a week work on it. Unfortunately, alhamdulillah, a whole lot of good has come out. But this is not something which I want to talk about publicly. There will be time, inshallah, when we can write about it. But to preserve possibility of future help, it is important that we just don't go in the detail of any of those things. Sorry about that. Nabil Hassan.
Yes.
Go ahead, Nabil.
Alaikum, this is Nabil from Toronto. I just wanted to quickly ask about, when you were there in Bangladesh, which aid organizations did you see on the ground? And the other thing was, I joined your presentation a little bit late, but if there are countries in the neighboring area, be it Pakistan or Malaysia, what can we, for example, Canadian Muslims do from our side to galvanize them to, stop military coordination with the Burmese military and things like that? Any ideas that we could do right into our MPPs?
Whatever time we have, if you are in Canada and our team there, we have extraordinary work to be done in Canada. I am relying quite a bit of my hope Canada taking a stronger role, and there's a good possibility of it, and coordinating with France and Germany. That's our main strategy right now. Now, Pakistan and Malaysia, they have large demonstrations. Their governments, by and large, are supportive of it. And but we can focus on 50 countries, or we can focus on 2-3, where we have a higher level of possibility of achieving certain things. So, if you are in Canada, you need to be a part of our major strategy right here in Canada. And I think tomorrow night, I have a public program in Toronto in which I'll be sharing more detail about our Canada strategy. I landed here, I think, night before last. And since then, I have about 4 conference calls. And all conference calls were about Canada, and Canada. So we have hope that we will be able to, inshallah, have some influence there. I have a whole lot of people whose hands are up, but I will just take one last one, and I will conclude with that one. That is name is Raja Ismail.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Thank you very much for such a great effort that you're doing. I just wanted to mention that, is there a way we can do an economic boycott, identify products made in Myanmar and not buy those products, and also put pressure on the businesses that source their products from Myanmar primarily? Just wanted to mention.
Yes, there is an effort there, and inshallah in future action alert we'll mention that. There are some Muslims working on it, and hopefully that can help. But those things are long term; they're not short term. So it will take some time to handle them. There are many more hands. I said last one, but let me just do one more last, and this is Irfan Sayyed.
Assalamu alaikum, brother Mujahid. I'm from
Alaikum salam.
Thank you very much for your very nice presentation. Unfortunately, it is very sad. What Muslim major countries, I see only Turkey, Malaysia, and Bangladesh, and a little bit Pakistan is doing in this effort. Why the major Muslim countries, they're not making a big voice here in United Nations or in this field?
Okay. You see, Muslims always have a problem. They do good and nobody knows what good they have done. We are bad in communication. We Muslims in America are bad, and Muslim in the world. Art and technology of communication is something we still need to master, still do the story. Turkish people was the one who probably influenced the Bangladeshi government the most.
Exactly.
Went early and supported, and although they had some difficulty, I think, in past relationship, that sort of opened the door, and Bangladesh government is doing good job. So there are many others doing. I saw there Saudi Arabia's one van, and I saw Qatar's one van. I don't know the detail of what they're doing, but I did see some vans there from them. In the organizations which I saw, local Bangladeshi NGOs, their name I saw everywhere. I did not see any international Muslim charities name from US or from UK there. And I'm assuming some of them are working with some of the Bangladeshi charities probably, or they're putting name when they're distributing something and taking it out because of the limitations which are being put there. Saudi Arabia, I criticized them so much that this year they invited my Hajj, I declined. They invited me last year for Hajj, I declined. They invited me to UN conference, I declined. But I want to tell you this, that they do some good also. For example, one of the all Rohingya leaders tell me that Pakistan has been very good with them, used to get citizenship and all that until very recently, when because of Afghanistan issue, they became very reluctant on this. Second best country they say is Saudi Arabia, because they have given about 250,000 Rohingyas some type of work permit or residency permit, and they are there and things of this nature. So sometimes there are good things our people do, but nobody knows. And we only know when they go around doing bad things and bombing and all that. So I think there is more good these people can do. One good all Muslim countries can do is call it by right name. That is genocide.
Exactly.
And say, hey, Genocide Convention requires that. And the United Nations cannot be silent about that. They need to push for these things. But the OIC has this limitation that if any country objects to anything, OIC rules require consensus. So in the past, Indonesia will object and OIC will not do anything. But this time, Indonesia is doing little better than what they were doing in the past. So I would like to thank all of you, because I still have to write 2 memos tonight to be submitted by morning. So I like to thank all of you. MashaAllah, lots of people participated, and still, despite our consumption of more than an hour and a half, there are people there. May Allah bless all of you. You know, we can do our effort because God has required us to do our effort. But God controls the world, we don't. So we need to pray for these people, pray for the sabr of these people, pray and thank God for the open heart of all the Bangladeshis who are showing up with the help. And pray that our effort, Allah gives barakah in there, and the world recognizes it's a genocide. They help create a safe zone for these people. Threaten Burma unless they open up for United Nations and all the charities, there will be sanctions will be right back on them. So please pray and do your best. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.